Wednesday, hosted by MMORPG.com. This is take 2 for tonight. I'm your host, Rob Lashley, also known as Craculin. I have with me Talal Assad, associate producer on Dark Age Camelot from EA Mythic. You want to say hello, Talal?
Hello, I hope everyone can hear me now.
Can everybody hear him now?
Can we get an affirmative on that? If you guys can hear me.
Anybody? Okay, they're saying yes.
Excellent.
Hooray!
All right.
Alright, let's add our incognito friend to the call.
Yes, indeed. Started off, you asked a question. You mentioned a bit about the format of the stream and how it's very slightly different tonight because our devoted internal forum members, Card and Eder, have slipped in a few questions, a few bits of trivia. And, so the first question that you asked me was...
Well, I wasn't going to ask that question again because you were going to answer it.
Right. You asked me whether or not I had a specific class above all that I like to play.
Yeah.
Right. And then I mentioned that I was going to abstain from answering that because I don't want... I said that I wouldn't be disingenuous and say that I love all classes equally because I don't. But if I described and explained all of the classes that I play or play the most, people might, consider that when we, make certain class balance changes, and they may assume that we as devs prefer one realm over another, and that's absolutely untrue. We approach class balance with the entire game in mind, and with no, particular allegiance to one realm. But absolutely, we all have our, brands of playstyle, which certain classes lend themselves to, but we won't get into what those are. But all the other questions, most of them, are off limits, or rather are not off limits.
All right, well, let's see then. I've got to bring up my email, bring the list of questions back up. Sorry. I ended up having to restart my entire rig in order to get Skype and XSplit to be nice and talk to each other. I actually called Talal as soon as I killed the stream the first time, and it sounded like R2-D2 was trying to talk to me on the other end.
It was very strange.
I was like, Talal, English, do you speak it?
I think somebody got a hold of a Tesla coil outside of your house and is screwing with you.
Yeah. So, what was your experience for your first PvP or Relic run like?
Wow. I was an absolute noob. I was running around in one of the capital cities, and somebody saw me wearing the worst armor possible, and being kind of new to the game, he crafted me a set of armor and told me that he was going to introduce me to RVR. And our first, I'm not going to tell you which realm I was playing, but we went into Midgard, and that was my first experience with RVR. And I just recall the snow and the surroundings and the intensity and the music, and then dying instantaneously. So my introduction to RVR was painful, but I was immediately hooked. I was immediately aware of what made the game so compelling, and just the distinct difference between, fighting mobs and fighting people. It's elevated the gameplay, and it's difficult to actually describe, but it is absolutely impactful. I think everyone that plays Dark Age can understand that. So it doesn't make for a very good story, but I do remember my first experience very, very vividly. Yet I can't recall with any kind of certainty what my first Relic run was. Possibly because I didn't have a significant part in it because I was so green at the time. I think I was just kind of following the herd and, unsure as to, what to do. I do remember the first time I had captured a relic, though. That's when nobody could figure out what to do to put the relic onto the pillar back in the new old relic system. And people were trying to drop it on there and to hand it to other people, and they were doing all sorts of things, and I guess they just didn't get the placement right, and so eventually they handed it to me, and I dropped it on there.
So what have you done subsequent to that to address that issue?
We revamped the entire relic system.
And now you just excessive?
Well, I don't do anything half-assed. Now you just drop it on a little relic pad in a keep, which is significantly easier.
Yeah, I think so. Alright, you're going to have to give me a second to find out the next question. But anyway, so 1.11111.
That's a lot of ones. That's
yeah,
too many
well,
ones.
there's too many ones. You're telling me there's too many ones.
So,
I've been saying that since I've known you guys. I think there's too many ones here.
Yeah.
Something's not quite right.
So yesterday we did release patch 1.114A with a few relatively exciting features. We've been watching the feedback. We've been talking to our internal guys. We've been reading the forums. I know that there has been a pretty favorable reaction to the guild merit bonuses that we changed. You can now run 2 guild merit bonuses concurrently. We reduced the cost from 1,000 to 250 merit points, and we halved the duration. So, if several members of a guild, they're actively participating in different aspects of the game. Some of them want to RVR, they want that RP bonus. Some of them want to craft, they want the crafting bonus. Some of them are leveling up, they want the XP bonus. We realize that changes, fairly rapidly, so we've added the extra bonus and also reduced the duration and the cost. So more people can spend less merit points to get more bonuses, and people have been pretty happy about that, I think. We added the /bank command, which now makes your personal vault accessible anywhere. This is one of those things that we added because we understand that vault space is, the lack of vault space is a very real problem. As this game gets older and people have been playing their characters for several years and accruing all of these items, it becomes difficult to decide what you keep in your inventory, what you move to your personal vault, what you can put in your house vault. A lot of things are no trade. Some people hold on to things for sentimental reasons. And it just became appropriate to basically unlock, because where before you would have to go and speak to a specific NPC, the vault banker, who you couldn't access in the frontiers or any RVR location. Now it's just let's remove that restriction. Let's open up the full inventory to players. It's by way of an apology for not being able to follow through on the poison pouches that we talked about. We really did give it an honest try, but unfortunately, the resources required, it was just a little too risky, a little too overwhelming. This is when I remind everyone that we're dealing with 12, 13-year-old code here, and something that would appear to the average person as simple just really isn't that simple at all. So we hope you enjoy the /bank command and access to your vaults. It's just it's not the biggest thing, but it does provide some relief. And I guess one of the bigger features is the introduction of the 3rd generation epic armor. We've been working very closely with our internal forum members and watching the forums, particularly PostCount and the MMORPG.com forums.
Hey, look at that, liar.
As well as reading your feedback. And the first iteration, we came out and we had a ton of feedback, and because of it, because of all of the suggestions that you guys made, we ended up almost reworking them entirely, and I think they're a little bit more exciting now. Rather than receiving piecemeal the weapons and accessories, rather the armor and the accessories, as you progress through your champion levels, you get everything at champion level 1 or rather champion level 0 when you embark on your champion line. And the armor itself improves in kind of like artifacts do. As you increase your champion levels, you unlock an increase in stats, extra TOAs, better procs on the armor. So by the time you hit champion level 10, you have a full suit of armor that is markedly better than the one that you received at champion level 0, and you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is progress, and we really like this system. We have to thank everybody on the forums, and a special thank you to John Thornhill for his help and for his input on this. He's a master of his craft, I think.
So the next question I had, speaking of patches, is which one has been your favorite so far?
Oh, wow. Wow, that is a tough question. It's difficult to say. There are so many pieces of so many patches that I love. I'll say for various reasons, I loved testing, and this is coming from the developer side of things. When we changed archery, used to be weapon damage, and it was a different system, and I think this is maybe 1.83, somewhere around then. We changed archery to be magic damage, and we revamped the archery system. And while testing, there was the wrong value in the code somewhere. And I was out in the frontiers, and I was one-shotting keeps. I was doing, something like, 360,000 damage per shot, and I do enjoy playing archers in this game. I enjoyed it prior to the change, and there are certain times when I do miss the old archery system, but the new archery system, I think, is just as fun, can be just as fun and robust. Wow, that's a lot of patches and a lot of content.
It is a lot of patches.
We'll circle back. I'll definitely think of something when we're in the middle of another question. So.
Okay. So we'll do one more that's more about your experiences with Mythic, and then we'll start going into the questions from the community. What was your first day in the office like?
Oh, wow. So I got my start in customer support, and so the director of customer support at the time was a man named Rob DiBiano, very well loved, very well respected, and so I knew that I had an interview with him, and I got the interview a few months after, speaking with a friend who had worked at Mythic, and he's the one that got me in, but I had forgotten Rob DiBiano's name, and so I went to Mythic's website, and I started scanning it, and I found the name Rob Denton, and I was like, oh, that's it. I have an interview with Rob Denton being the vice president of the studio.
Yeah.
And so I walk in, and I go to the front desk, and I say, hi, I have an interview with Rob Denton. And the young lady that was working there at the time gave me this look as though I were insane. And she's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, I have an interview with Rob Denton. And she kind of flips through her schedule, and she's like, I don't see that. And I'm like, well, She said, well, what are you here about? I said, a job with customer support. And then she laughs. And she's like, oh, you're going to want Rob DiBiano. He's downstairs. Rob Denton being so, untouchable and so kind of high up the food chain, for me to have an interview with him would have been a little bit ridiculous. But the first day I spent, getting myself set up, and that's when I chose as a CSR. At the time, we got to choose our own CSR names. So I chose the name Eldarian, which I've used, as a CSR. Then I used as a dev, and still used to this day as basically it's my avatar. We set those up and kind of introduced myself around to the people, and started talking to the players. And I'm a really patient person. It is actually really difficult to upset me or anger me. And I started speaking with a customer, and at the time, being so new, my first day, I didn't quite have a full grasp of policy and procedure and everything else. And so he reported an issue, and he had basically was trying to convince me that something that somebody else was doing was a violation. And so I went to ask my supervisor, and they said no, it wasn't. And I came back and explained it to him that it wasn't. And he proceeded to berate me, and to basically, he spent the next half an hour explaining to me how worthless I was as a CSR and as a representative of the company.
Is his name Hayoshi?
No, I don't recall his name. I do have the chat log saved somewhere, but I don't open it. And as I said, I don't get angry. It's just something I don't do. I very rarely get angry. And by the end of the conversation, and after the things that this gentleman had said to me, my eyeballs involuntarily twitched, and I've never been moved to the point of actually physically being unable to control myself. And he got me, because it was my first day, and I wanted to do well, and it was kind of it was being thrown into the fire. I very quickly calmed down, and we reached a very amicable solution to his problem. But it was tough. It was a very a drastic kind of cold water to the face introduction to the kind of interactions that you can have. And I've since had 1,000 times as many good interactions as negative. But yeah, that was my first day.
At least you made it to the second day. Involuntary eye twitching.
Oh yeah, that's never happened before and since.
I think that was just the stress from the monitors in your face all day long.
Yeah.
Okay, so our first question from the community is from Stealthman Jabs. Are there any plans to update player-crafted gear, aside from the legendary weapons, in the near future? As it stands, the template that minimizes the number of player-crafted pieces is superior due to an increased number and quality of proc stats, to the point that a lot of level 51 PC armor is just being used to template out battleground characters.
I mean, we've always stood by our position not to marginalize crafters. I mean, crafting is a part of this game that a lot of players, including myself, really love, and that's why I wanted to give the legendary weapons some love and their due respect, because I think we can all agree that while they're useful in a lot of cases because they do elemental damage, and you can play on the resistances of other players, they're not quite legendary anymore. And so we haven't really beyond that considered a change to crafting. A lot of people ask for jewel crafting. I can go ahead and tell you that as of right now, that's not on our schedule. But legendary weapons, certainly, like I said, 1.115. That's a personal objective of mine, because I really think it will do a good deal, for crafters, and it will, kind of round out some templates very nicely and allow for the kind of serious damage that those weapons are supposed to be inflicting.
All right. Our next one is from Corfell, and he wants to know what can be done about battle groups and loot thieves.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome Corfell to the internal forums. As we mentioned last time, if you submit, really constructive and meaningful feedback, we will have absolutely no problem with inviting you onto the internal forums where we want to, continue to get that feedback from you. So welcome to you, Corfell, and we hope to work with you for a long time to come. And as to your question, it's something that we have discussed recently. The system that's in place currently is vulnerable, and it's vulnerable in that a battle group leader or a treasurer that a battle group leader assigns can very easily just log out with the loot once a major encounter has been completed, and if one person is assigned to receive all of the drops, and if they feel like it, it's the honor system, and if they feel like it, they can log out and they can basically screw everybody else. It's why we've we've always labeled the whole battle group concept as a trust relationship. We don't, in the same way where if you agree to trade something to someone and they don't, return the trade, if you accept that trade or if you choose to join that battle group and there's a breach of trust, that's not something that, currently we can, intervene, with which we can intervene. But we talked recently about maybe updating the mechanics to involve kind of a token system. These are just ideas that we've been spitballing. These aren't changes that we're going to make. These are things that embryonic ideas that we would prefer to receive feedback from the public about. And some of the ideas we've been kicking around are entitlements, tokens, kind of those mystery boxes that you can currently buy in the border keeps, the ones that the carryover from the merchant event, where just for the sake of example, if you kill Draco, everyone gets a mystery box, and that mystery box is basically the RNG for the loot that you get. So you'll get one mystery box. You could conceivably get the item that you want, or an equally coveted item which you can sell and buy the item that you want, or you could get nothing. In the same way where one battle group leader has all the loot and you sit around in a circle and you slash random 100 or 1000 or however you do it. So we've been talking about ideas like that and how we could take the burden off of the player, take the risk away. I think is it's something that we'd like to do, but and there are absolutely feasible solutions. So we're open to feedback. We have our own ideas, but we'd love to hear yours.
You want to hear mine?
Sure. What's your idea?
Anybody that's involved with the tag on the mob gets a box that has their own individual loot in it. That way you don't have to worry about thieves.
Yeah, well, if players respond to that, that's it's completely it's feasible. It's within the scope of feasible development.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of a fight here, but the next question is going to be from the community, and it is from Old Boy, and he wants to know if it would be possible to allow players to move their house from one lot to another.
You can do that right now if you wanted to.
Look at that, Old Boy. Get with the no.
You can't physically move it, but there's a reasonably simple process by which you can accomplish that, and that is as simple as getting a house deed. Getting a house deed, handing it to somebody else, and they now own your house, and then you can buy another house. And he may be referencing taking your house and wholesale, planting it somewhere else, so you don't have to redecorate, set up all your merchants and all that stuff. Currently, there is no way to do that, and we don't anticipate a way to do that, but you're not stuck with your house. You can always hand it to a friend, a guildmate, another one of your accounts, and kind of relieve yourself of that house and then set up shop somewhere else.
All right. Salomon wants to know, can we get a way to tell if people are res sick?
It is possible, yes, but whether or not that is in the best interest of RVR, whether or not that is something that the community at large wants to see, I can't speak to how the playing public would feel about, that particular concept, labeling somebody as RVR res sick. It seems, personally, and this is coming from a player and not a dev, it seems not to be in the spirit of the game.
Okay. Old Boy's got another question for you. He wants to know if there's any chances that we could see multi-monitor support in the future, so you could have a wider viewing area.
That would be a question for Marty Brown. Let's see. Actually, Marty has responded to me, and because he loves the questions, he loves answering the questions. But unfortunately, his schedule is such that he is unable to join us. But John Thornhill has promised to join us this evening, so we should be hearing from him.
John's actually on the call.
John.
Hi.
What's up, John Thornhill?
What's up?
I ninja'd him in when you weren't paying attention.
That is excellent. True to his word, he has appeared, a wild John Thornhill.
Hello.
Hey, John. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody out there who, for some crazy reason, doesn't know who you are already?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm John Thornhill, as they said 6 times just now. I work on Dark Age as a designer, and that's me.
John is the lead designer on Dark Age of Camelot.
So like we just asked, John, is there any chance that we can see multi-monitor support for Dark Age of Camelot to allow for a wider viewing angle?
I mean, it's certainly possible in the realm of possibility. I don't know how soon it would come out if we put it on our list, because there's a lot of other changes you want to make, and it takes a lot of our resources to do something like that, because it's all code.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, it's something we could look at for sure.
Okay. The next one is... Old Boy's got a lot of questions. Okay, we'll skip the core file and go back to the Old Boy. If you could take back one thing that you ever implemented in Dark Age of Camelot, what would it be and why? I added the and why part. He just wanted to know what it would be.
Can I answer? Can I answer?
I like Marty's answer.
How about caravans? Caravan quest. Sorry about that, guys.
It's kind of cheating because you've already taken that out.
Right. Well, they asked and I answered caravans.
What else? Periwinkle Blue.
Periwinkle Blue.
Periwinkle Blue. Stuff me, it's Mama. What? It's Mama.
Go
ahead with Marty's answer, because he's lost.
I don't remember.
Your world.
I don't remember the whole line, but the last word of it was necromancers.
Right.
Which I loved, because and it's more just because of all the exceptions in the code that he has to deal with whenever you make a change about necromancers.
Yeah, actually, I have his phrasing here. It's if you could take back one thing, it would be, he said, I didn't implement it, but I would remove most high run speeds. I even suggested it, but got shot down every time, and also necros. So that's Marty's answer.
It's a great answer.
What about yours, John?
Oh, it's tough.
Is it tough because everything you've implemented is amazing?
That's not true. I'm sure some players would disagree with that. I didn't implement it either, but I would say celerity charges. Don't worry, players. I won't do that without giving you something else, though. Yeah, celerity charges.
Oh, before I forget, I I want to mention that, first of all, I want to apologize personally to Rob, because he was promised a hat, and I did not deliver to him a hat.
It's okay.
That is because they are hiding the hats from me, but I will track them down, promise. But in return, I have for you 7 30-day Dark Age of Camelot time codes to give away this evening. That is 7, up from the previous 5.
Alright, so that being said, let's give one away right now. Exorbitant. EXORBIANT. Congratulations, you won a 30-day time card to Dark Age Camelot.
Congratulations, Exorbitant. Is he following the stream?
He is following the stream, otherwise I wouldn't have said his name. And he was an early winner. Like I did it without saying anything about following, just to make sure the first person was a follower who got it. Look at that. So at this time, if you're not already following the stream, make sure you are. That way I can give you a time card, because if you're not, I can't. It's crazy. And we'll do one more, because we're nice like that. Rezmoi. R-E-Z-M-O-I. This dude
Congrats.
is straight up attacking me. You little lurkeen. I'm like giving people free time cards, and you're like being stealth ninja. Congratulations. Oh, I just rolled and got another one that's not following. Another one not following. Kuji. K-U-J-I-I-I. It's like 5 I's. K-U-J. I1, I2, I3, I4.
Kuji is
I5.
also another esteemed internal forum member. Congratulations, and actually he's a recent addition, so welcome, Kuji. We appreciate your feedback, and we look forward to working with you for a long time to come.
Larock, if that was me raging, you haven't seen anything yet.
You just died to a lurking.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Serves you right, so close to St. Patrick's Day.
I know. What do I do in good way free shit? Alright, let's see.
Malatrix. The internal forums are invite only. They are the EA Mythic. They're called the EA Mythic Beta forums, and it's where we correspond directly with some select members of the community who have consistently shown that they can provide constructive, meaningful feedback. They're really invested in the game and care a great deal about the direction and integrity of the game. And as a result, we bounce our ideas off of them. They make suggestions, and we listen. So.
And if you're curious, I'm not one of them.
Nope. No, we actually banned him from the forums.
No access for me. So next question is from Matador. Some options just don't make sense to be set per character, i.e. chat colors, visible names, etc. Even a set for all characters button would be nice, so people who prefer to have those settings different on different characters are not affected. That seemed more like a comment as opposed to a question.
John, did you understand?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We can put it on our list, but it's one of those things that if we ask players what they want, it's probably not the top of the list, but it's on the list, right. So we'll get to it when we can.
We know people like to play with classic colors, classic names, and there are settings to play with. You know, catacombs models. There's kind of a traditional setting where everything is kind of sparse and the color schemes.
Those are mostly account-based settings, but the chat stuff is all character-based, I think, and that's what he's asking about.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, if we can get time to do it, we'll do it.
All right. Is it possible that the devs, and this is from Pointed Air, could compile a list of things we might be able to do, and then they could kibitz on them?
That would be a prohibitively long list, because there are any number of things that we could do. It is probably more reasonable for players to request certain things and for us to be able to tell you directly, yes or no, is that feasible, and where it could stand on our priority list. We have something of a backlog, you can call it, of things that, of a wish list, things that, we would like to see changed, added, removed, improved. And at some point, sure, we could share some of that list with the world, but it wouldn't be by any means comprehensive because there's just so many possibilities. And not as many resources.
The next question comes from the chat, so we'll mix it up a little bit here, and it's a trollish question, but I'll ask you anyways.
All right.
If you could eat whatever animal you wanted, which one would it be? And we'll go with Cathal first. No, PETA will not come after you for answering this question.
If I could eat any animal I wanted. I don't really know how to answer that question. I don't know that there are very many animals that I have looked at and have thought, wow, I want to eat me some of that.
I'm thinking ostrich. Let's try ostrich. I haven't had that yet. What about you?
I've had ostrich.
John? Yeah?
Ostrich is delicious.
What haven't you had that you would like to try?
Some like game meat would be pretty cool, but it's illegal to eat now. I think like zebra or giraffe, something exotic like that.
I had dolphin. Dolphin steak is actually delicious.
It was probably fish.
Probably all had dolphin in our tuna.
No, it was definitely real dolphin.
We all have dolphin on our tuna. Here's some tuna. All right. This next one's from Stealthman Jabs. How soon can we expect Summoner's Hall to be fixed? Presently, several of the bosses aren't spawning correctly. Some mobs aren't respawning for weeks at a time.
We are in the process of looking into that right now, actually.
Okay.
I mean, not like right now, but right now.
Have you guys ever thought about doing an AMA on Reddit?
I have not personally thought about that, no.
That one's for me. Throwing that out there. Quote from Farrell. Any chance we could get tooltips with timers only?
That's already on our list. Another priority thing. If we can get it in a reasonable amount of time, accounting for other things we want to get in that are more important than that, then we will. But it's on our list already.
Yeah. I guess it's important to explain how we classify things as important. Player feedback, the fervency with which players demand certain things. There's definitely a trend that we notice when we start seeing. And by the way, I want to thank everybody. Since our last stream, we have seen feedback increase by 150, 200%, orders of magnitude. A bunch of feedback has been coming in, and we love it. We love the fact that we're seeing more. Easily doubled the amount. And we asked you guys, and told you that feedback is the best way to.
Oh, just to piggyback in on that.
Sure.
A lot of the feedback I've seen, not a lot, but a good enough percentage has been questioning why to bother sending in feedback without a response. And I realize that sometimes it seems like you're sending it to no one and no one's reading it, but we read everything.
Sure.
And we're not going to take the time to respond because we wouldn't have time to work on the game if we did.
Yeah.
So we spend our time responding to internal forums and that kind of thing, but we're not going to respond to every feedback. So if you send it in, just trust us that we'll read it.
Yeah. As a matter of course, we don't respond to feedback. That's a very good point, John. Thank you for reminding me.
The next one seems like it's a little bit of a touchy subject, and it has to deal with Gaheris. And they're curious if you're going to put a PvP battleground as promised, or if you're just going to kind of let Gaheris take care of itself.
Not entirely sure. I mean, there was some discussion about Mordred and Gaheris and what to do because of dwindling populations, but Gaheris is a PvE server, and to to kind of spoil the sanctity of a PvE server by adding the PvP. If you want to PvP, you come to a regular rule set server. That's just the nature of it.
And it's not very, to kind of come to your guys' defense, it's not really that difficult to level a character from 1 to 50 these days in Dark Age of Camelot, as opposed to 10 years ago where it would take you months. You can get into a decent group and go from 1 to 49 in the span of a day just by doing battleground quests.
Yeah.
So,
I think that idea originated back when the proposal was to transfer the Mordred characters from Mordred to Gaheris and not let them come to Uwain. And I think our plan is to have them come to Uwain, which kind of makes that moot. Now, maybe sometime in the future, long term here, we can do something like that, but it's not on our plate right now.
speaking of Mordred,
Yep.
so with that,
Look to a post coming in the next 2 weeks.
all right.
We are working on it. As of today, as of yesterday, I told you the priority order was patch, Mordred transfers, and then the come back to Camelot re-enlistment campaign. And if everyone noticed that this is patch 1.114A. It'll be
It's
A.
a Canadian patch.
So expect a B with some additional changes. I know a lot of people were disappointed that there was a marked lack of class balance changes. So we're promising you a B right now.
But that will be after Mordred transfers and come back to Camelot.
All right, any chance that we could see, and I know we just talked about it's a little bit faster to level, but something like a buff, an XP buff for the starter guild?
There is one currently. If you are in the starter guild, you get I suppose it's comparatively nominal, but there is a buff to your XP gain if you remain in the starter guild. It's actually it's part of the patch yesterday. We really want to conduce players to join guilds, and that's why we increased the values of the buffs. Actually all four. We removed the master level. There used to be a guild merit bonus, which provided a master level experience buff, but since master level experience is no longer in the game, we went ahead and replaced that.
Ooh, can I change my previous answer to what I would revert?
Sure, go ahead.
Master level experience.
Yeah. Let it be done. But the old PvE experience bonus was 5%, and we increased that to 15%. So you can increase your experience 15% faster by joining a guild and activating those bonuses.
And that question was from Trick, who is actually Jedi Mind Tricks in our group right now.
Oh, nice.
In the game.
Good question.
The next one comes from Corfell, and it's a starter zone. Possible that we can see the mount quest move to there.
Yeah, sure. That's what players want.
And
If
the
they
feedback
prefer it.
people.
Yeah, I mean, it's if players prefer to receive their first mount in the tutorial. Now, my response to that is, while I think the tutorial experience is fun and engaging, it's also very quick. So the amount of game time, the amount of time invested to get to the level where your mount is currently offered, it really isn't significant at all. But if the consensus is give us our mounts in the tutorial, then yeah, that's absolutely something that we can do.
Old Man had a question in there. He wanted to know, since there's all the servers are essentially international servers these days, if there's any chance that we'd see a translation
Did you say
function.
Old man or old boy?
Whatever. The old dude. I got a guy I talk to on Twitter all the time named Old Man Alps.
Yeah.
He's this guy's old boy.
No, localization is a tricky animal. There were European servers, there were Japanese servers, but over time they slowly were rolled into the server set we have now. Everything was basically rolled into Wayne. And while I understand that we have a large European population, specifically German and French, there are no plans right now to have an in-game localization feature where it converts all text to whatever native language.
I think he was trying to talk more like there's been other games that have you could change certain like keywords. It would translate them to another language, and the one I'm thinking of is like
Sure.
English to Japanese. So.
Yeah, it's not on the table right now. It's actually, we've spent the last several years going the opposite way. We currently support French and German for customer support because we understand that a good majority of our players
Yeah, I got a
live
bunch
in
of people
Europe.
running around speaking French next to me right now, actually, in game.
And we want to make sure that everyone, gets and that's a lot of that. We get that feedback as well. Please bring back the French servers, and we get the feedback in French. So my survival French can get by. I
don't know
read.
why you'd want a French server. They just all run away from each other all the time.
Oh, that's terrible. This is why you're banned from our internal forums.
For everybody out there that's French, I'm just kidding. I was just joking around.
That's the Marine in him.
I've been to France a number of times. Okay. So this one's from Ricky McDaniel Jr. Can we get an update on the Dragonbane weapons to make them more useful versus more dragons outside of the Epic Zone, such as against the ML10 dragon?
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, if people want that, we can look at that. Sure.
And I didn't mean French Canadian either, by the way. So if anybody out there is confused.
I wonder who might be confused.
Well, some people are like, "Yay, France!" It's like you're Canadian, you're not French. This one's from Sin. What's going on with the picks? Are more quests going to be brought in, taken out, cycled? Are the belts ever going to reappear? And I have a question to dovetail off that when you guys are done.
So, actually, John and I had a conversation about this today, and we've talked about it before. The picked event, was that year-long kind of ramp up to the Caledonia finale. But much like the Dragon campaign, we want to make sure that there are elements kind of in place, kind of vestigial, picked related encounters or features and rewards as well. So that's basically where it is right now. If by popular demand, the belts come back, then that would be one of the ways in which we would react to feedback and to alter the picked event or to change it.
Infernal Sleeves. I remember we asked about this many times to start the show, and then we were told they'll come back and it won't take as long for them to make a reappearance. So, how long's not long?
I'd like to gauge people's opinion on the merchant event that we had some months ago. I'd like to see how, in the aftermath of the merchant event, what happened to items, what happened to availability, what happened to the market, what happened to players of all economic demographics, like the kind of elite players who have access to tons of plat, the casual players who may not, whether or not it was more difficult to obtain items, whether or not it became easier to obtain those high-end coveted items, and whether or not the merchant event should be recurring and come back more often. we've had a few bits of feedback, but by no means have we like broached that question. So the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Gauntlet down.
Down.
Alright, this one's from Nivix. What can be done to make players want to do some of the old content? Perhaps some quests that offer big rewards for things like killing the dragon? Nice cash of scales, CLXP, some coin?
You're going to repeat that question? You cut out for me just a little bit.
What can be done to make players want to do some of the old content? So perhaps offer some quests that have big rewards for things like killing the dragon, a nice
Sure.
cache of scales, CLXP, coin.
Yep. All of those things. All of those things, and I'm actually gonna test you, Rob. We talked about encounters in the game, and what's the idea that we had thrown around? Because I know we've mentioned it at least 4 times now.
You're going to change the loot tables on some of the encounters.
Yep. Well done. That's what we've been talking about, is making Legion loot, Draco loot, all the Summoner's Hall stuff, Dragon drops to a lesser extent, Pick Slayer stuff, and Zimmeron's Wrath. If anyone since we're in Cathal Valley right now, it used to be one of the most coveted items in the game. The Old Hermit is the named mob that spawns in this zone, who, if you're lucky enough to find and then lucky enough to have that item drop, we can shuffle those loot tables around, and then if players are participating in a really high-end, kind of really difficult encounter, it goes back to one of the first questions we had, which is what can we do about battleground loot, the stealing of loot, and making it fair so players can equally have a chance at winning that loot. So yeah, good discussions all, and we've had them and are having them, and are waiting for more of your feedback, and we'll talk it over with you, with the internal forum guys, and we'll reach the best possible solution, and then we'll implement it.
Have you guys already changed the loot tables on the chests?
On the chests?
I think they're talking
I assume they mean the random...
The mystery boxes?
That's
mystery boxes.
what I was assuming they're meaning too.
They have been changed, not since their re-implementation in the border keeps, though.
Okay. Next question is from Tom Spiller, a.k.a. Tao. When we enter a town, we can only see a few NPC names a short distance in front of us. Can we see the names of all the NPCs in visible range? I would really like to draw distance on games to be extended as well. That's my personal feedback.
I believe that Tom probably is smart enough to have his clip plane set to far.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not far enough...
Well, then the names show up differently than that. It's like a set radius, I think. That's something we have low on our list, but it's a possibility for sure.
It comes down to performance. Some people don't have the luxury of playing on really high-end machines. Even for a game as dated as Dark Age, people still have performance issues.
The other thing we need to balance with that is it's kind of core to Dark Age's RVR is not being able to see somebody's name over their head.
Right.
So maybe just NPC names and not player names. We'd have to look at that.
I'm gonna call out a question from chat, and that's Sabistor. He says he's an old player. He's been gone for several years. He has 2 questions. 1, can he recover an old account with a CD key if I don't recall the email used? Your best bet, you should be able to contact support@darkageofcamelot.com. Give it a try with that CD key, and they might be able to pull up your old account. You may have to answer some questions. And if you basically successfully go through the authentication process, then there's a good chance that you can get access to your account again. But that's certainly a question for our our talented billing team. And the second question is, how can he go... Ooh, scrolling down here.
There's a big old board just to drive by on us.
Well,
While you're looking that up.
his chat just kind of scrolled off screen, and I can't scroll up. So, Sabistor, if you want to ask your second question again.
What are you in the chat room? Answer somebody's question.
Yeah, he just it kind of scrolled up, and then he said, how could he go about getting something, which I think is a game time code.
Can I recover an old account with a CD key if he doesn't recall the email he used? Additionally, how can he go about getting a few days free playtime to check back in with?
The best, you can wait for the Come Back to Camelot campaign, the re-enlistment, which originally, if your account was inactive for 90 days, then you can come back and play for 2 weeks for free to test out the changes and see if you wanted to come back and subscribe. We have since made some changes to the account center. We've taken the re-enlistment campaign offline for the time being, and it's going to come back online in a better form in the next couple of months. So currently, with apologies, there's no free game time unless you win a 30-day game time code tonight.
Which Kazawar did. Kazowar. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
And so did Rebel22. Which means
Congrats,
we have 3 left.
Okay, I don't want to ignore these fine people in chat. So if we see a question, and for the folks in chat, if you ask a question and we just mow right over it, please feel free to ask it again.
Here's a good one. Is it possible that we could see Dark Age of Camelot go to Steam?
I've got a Marty answer for that one.
Yeah.
It's a fairly simple Marty answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, we've asked this question ourselves, and he's still not sure why it hasn't happened. So, yeah, we would very much like to be on Steam, but that's kind of a battle that you fight within the studio and kind of, outward-facing, with our marketing and PR teams and all the various people involved. It's a very good question, and we would love to be on Steam just for the exposure. We'd love to get more people.
What about seeing, and this is from the same guy, Tom asked both these, Raptor rewards?
Say that again?
Raptor rewards? R-A-P-T-R. It's a game
sure, like
social media
chat program.
plugin. Kind of like an Xfire.
Sure.
The thing behind it is you can do playtime, earn certain rewards, usually very worthless, but it's something, and it gets your name out there because you get advertised through there.
If the good people at Raptor want to reach out to us, they're more than welcome, and we'll see what we can't get going.
Okay.
Yes, there's a question about the Herald, which is tradition for us to talk about the Herald. And I've got a Marty answer as well for that.
So for the people who don't know, because he hasn't been on here but the one time in a long time, who is Marty?
Marty Brown is the lead engineer on Dark Age of Camelot. He has been around. He's been with Mythic for 15 years, and he has. That means that he's been around and been involved with Dark Age of Camelot since not just launch, but since the inception of development. And he reads Dark Age of Camelot code like Neo reads the Matrix. And we love him dearly.
Okay.
And he's very invested in in the community. He loves the transparency. He feels like, for too long we kind of stayed behind closed doors, and he really appreciates the ability to answer questions directly. So I'm trying to find Marty's answer. Getting Herald functionality is obviously another player community priority and something we would like to provide. We don't currently have the resources needed to rebuild the Herald, but we should be able to provide some data in some format. Tell us which data is most useful and we'll see what we can do.
Alright, we're getting some questions again about the come back to Camelot, and there is a timeline of when we're going to see that. It was 1.114, and we got A, and then it was mortared transfers, correct? And then it was the come back to Camelot. So what are we looking at, about another 2 months before we see that?
I'd say ballpark that much time.
Look at that, I can just, you don't even need to be here anymore. I just answer the questions for you.
Sure.
Realm War statuses, most useful info from Herald.
Ask 10 people, get 10 answers.
Security. I say it goes down to security. Alright, let's roll again. Let's see, Adair. ADAIRRE1. Congratulations.
Kania is a coder and he'll work for Nutella. We do have access to Nutella.
We actually had somebody just get selected and not be following. And then we get Furball, good dwarf. Dude, I don't even know how I'm supposed to do that. Give me Furball, Dwarf Elf Lurrikeen. It's a great name. I'm gonna have a hell of it. I'm just gonna have like bookmark your page or something. There's no way I'm gonna be able to remember that. Of all the people you had to win. There you go. At least he's paying attention. Okay. Let's see.
Congratulations for Log Dwarf.
Congratulations. Enjoy your 30 days free, courtesy of Tulal. And my shiny head.
Courtesy of the Dark Age of Camelot team.
And my shiny head.
And your shiny head.
Alright. Anybody real quick chat? You got a good question? I see a question about finding which characters you're on your Wayne servers, but I thought your characters were on any of them. That which Wayne you actually picked really only mattered for like the market and the housing, but your characters pretty much on any of them.
I think he's more referring to being able to see which characters you have on which servers, like at the server select screen, or maybe even on like the Herald or the account center. Yeah, I agree with you. That's something that I would love to see as well. This is where we bring up the
E3. I've been asking for that for years.
Yeah, yeah. I also love the ability not to have to log out completely to switch servers.
You want to go to E3?
No, we are going to E3.
So am I. See you there.
All right, we'll see you there.
Okay. Let's see. I got a question and tells is that, can I ask, and this is from everyone, if we'll see updates to artifacts, not relics, but artifacts?
John, I think we talked about having them
at some point. Maybe, perhaps it's not on our plate right now, but
making them level faster.
Yeah, I think he's talking about stat updates though.
Sure.
I mean, that's always a possibility. We never know. All right, I gotta take off in about 2 minutes, but I'll answer one question I see in chat that will stir up a lot of controversy, I'm sure.
Right,
and I love controversy. As anybody on the internal forums knows, I love to discuss Dark Age. Why do I not like celerity charges? I do not like celerity charges because they take away from other classes that provide a useful benefit. I do not like celerity charges because they have a short duration and a long reuse, and it makes it very hard to use. But the people that do take the time to use it are so much better than people that don't. And it forces people to have to juggle items that they shouldn't have to. And if I make it so that the duration of the celerity charges is too long, it becomes a necessary item, and it further detracts from groups that provide that bonus. So I do not like the charges, period. But I do not want to remove them wholesale. I'll have to do some sort of compromise.
John Thornhill.
And with that, I will take my leave. Good day.
Good day to you, sir.
See you guys.
See you tomorrow. He's pretty passionate about celerity charges.
All right. Because John hinted on something, the fact that we are kind of running a little on time, I do know that there are quite a lot of questions out there that people want to have answered, and I'm going to throw a link in chat to a thread that I just created on the MMORPG.com forum, so if you go there and you put your question, I'll make sure it gets asked next time. As long as it's not like Talal.
What kind of food do I want to eat?
Yeah.
What animal do I see that I want to consume?
How long after the milk is expired will you drink it before you throw it out of the fridge?
I hate milk. I don't drink it.
And if you want to complain about John's answer to celerity, feel free to get it hopping there.
Leave some feedback on the feedback forum on the Camelot Herald. We've been reading it as it comes, and we really enjoy it. And just ask the 4 or 5 new internal forum members that we've invited, and we really want to invite more. So if you feel the love and the passion for the game, keep leaving that feedback, and you can join us. And as a tangent, I really want to thank Eder and Ederbrecka and Card for doing what they do these past several streams by assembling questions from the playing public and sending them to Rob so that he can ask myself and John. It really helps with the transparency and the clarity and the community interaction. So thank you guys, and I wish I could name them all, but the rest of our internal forum members, I see a few of them in chat, Obelisk and Kuji. I don't see anyone else, but you guys know who you are. Thank you for your contribution. You make our jobs much more enjoyable, and you make this game much better. And we haven't mentioned Kai and Jenny yet.
Kai's on the phone call. He's been here the entire time.
Well, Kai
and Jenny's here too.
Yeah, Kai, we miss you, and Kai will be a part of. And this is our second to last Wayback Wednesday, is it not?
To complete the 12-month cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
And we still need to talk about when you want to do next month's.
Sure. Yeah, to nail it down for the players, let's open up a... How about...
I got the 17th.
April 17th.
All right. I know you were concerned about your travel schedule when I broached that to you the first time, so...
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be okay. I'll let you know if anything changes.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yeah. This one is from Card, who's the final question. Oh. And this is from Niedrich. With us getting closer and closer to the end of Albion's run on Wayback Wednesday, what are the current plans, if any, to continue this type of player-dev interaction on a monthly basis? If Grak is unable to, what are your thoughts on someone else from the community doing it in an unofficial capacity? By that I mean, would the devs be up for running the stream with a known member of the community?
Well, Lord knows that we are so desperate to get rid of Grak, so...
yeah.
With that being said, no, it's... I mean, we'll see what happens. Of course, we'll participate, and we have to agree on the right format, the right timing, and Grak, if something else should happen, it would be great to have you along as well, because since we're family now. And since Dark Age of Camelot is officially your favorite game in the world,
It's the only game that's got an NPC named after me in it.
Well, that's how much we care about you.
I appreciate it. That being said, we've had some people leave off, and I've got one more card to give out. So if you're not following the stream now, make sure you hit follow above the button. I'll give you about 2 more minutes, and then I'll roll the dice and see who wins. And then it's time to go watch The Americans. If you don't watch this show, you're crazy. All right, that was 2 minutes.
That seems like a pretty solid 2 minutes.
I've got a duplicate winner from last time.
Oh, no.
I don't know what to do. Cybus, congratulations. That's 2 months in a row that you won.
Congrats.
And then, all right, just a heads up for what's going on with me over the course of the next week. Tomorrow, we're going to have MMOFTW, which is the weekly news show that I host with the editor for MMORPG.com, Bill Murphy, and we're going to have a special guest, Scott Hartzman, on with us, and we're going to talk about all the news and MMOs for the week. And then next week, Tuesday at 9 o'clock, when this show started, we're going to have Richard Garriott talking about his new project he's got coming out.
Oh, Richard.
Yes.
Richard is interesting fellow.
Yeah. Oof.
I had the good fortune to meet him at GDC last year.
So that's what we've got going on. I hope to see you guys there, and everybody have a great night.
Good night, guys. Thank you very much.